What's going on, family? It's your man BMT, and today we are reviewing a video made by some foundational Black American sisters over there in Ghana. Now, as you guys probably already know, Ghana had a big year of the return, specifically aimed at Black Americans to return to Ghana, return back home, in order to maybe strengthen that bond between Black Americans and Africans, right? So Ghana participated in the slave trade, and they basically saying that, hey, we messed up. You guys are welcome to come back home, and live amongst us. Returning home, and just almost like an apology to a certain degree. Now, we can go back and forth on, our foundational Black Americans native to America, or did we all come on slave boats? Did we interbreed amongst each other, from the original Black Americans to the Africans? We can debate that, but in this video we're just going to discuss the experiences of some Black American sisters over there in Ghana right now. All right, let's get to it.
Y'all invited us to come home, which by the thousands we did. We came running to Ghana. People sold their homes, moved out of their apartments, sold everything. Some people packed up containers and moved over here just to get over here and realize this is not our home. Y'all call us foreigners. Ghanaians call us that. We didn't make that word up. We didn't start calling ourselves that. We don't know that that's what y'all call the white people and the Chinese because we're not around them. But we know that that's what y'all call us.
All right, but so before we get too deep into the video, I do want to say I looked up some stats, and about 1,500 foundational Black Americans have permanently moved to Ghana. So she said about thousands, but that's from 2019 all the way to 2025. So it's not a lot. I mean, out of 40 million Black Americans, I guess all of us didn't get the memo, but it's still a very small amount of Black Americans that have actually went over to Ghana. I think one year they did, their biggest year, they welcome or citizenship to 500 Black Americans.
I ain't never heard the word before, Toby, till I came to Ghana. Okay. Y'all invite us home. Let's talk about what y'all do to us. Starting from the fucking before we get to the airport, we got to have a visa that we pay for to even enter our home. We pay all this money for passports and visas to get here. We get to the airport, and as soon as you see a fucking blue passport, everybody's coming for us. Can you give me something small at the COVID place? You get to immigration. Can you give me something small? You get to baggage. Can you give me something small? A person grabbed a damn cart and put my bag on it and got mad because I gave him $5 because I only had hundreds, because you come over here with hundreds to get the best, cash in rate. How about he looked at that and said, I don't want that. I said, what you mean you don't want it? I said, I want to know, what did you expect me to give you? He said, $10. I said, so you want me to give you over 100 CDs for picking up a bag, putting it in a cart? He don't know this is like my 5th time coming through the airport. I have never seen nowhere in any country or state where people have openly, it says $60 for foreigners, $30 for locals, okay? You go to Cocoon Park, and I don't remember the price. Let's say $200 for foreigners, because that's what y'all call us, $40 for locals. You go to the castle, it's $60 for foreigners, $10 for locals. I ain't never seen that nowhere.
That's crazy. That is kind of crazy, especially when you're supposed to be welcoming back Black Americans into the frame. You would think it would be all the same prices, but they do this overseas. They do this in Thailand as well. Not too much. It's like pretty much the tourist areas for the most part, like the sanctuary of truth. You'll see foreigners have a different price than the locals and stuff like that. So I mean, they do that in some of these countries. That's not exclusive to Ghana.
We don't went nowhere in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada where it said you pay, if you are local, if you're from here, you pay $1 for a Coca-Cola. But if you're a foreigner, you pay $8 for a Coca-Cola. I ain't never seen that nowhere.
She's absolutely right about that. As far as the West is concerned, as far as America is concerned, yeah, all the prices. And I thought about that too. I was like, wow, they can, they come to America and they're we're not even in a position to try to get over on them, if we wanted to. But they definitely in a position to try to get over us, and we're not going to escape that, no matter where we go. Like she says, once they see that blue passport, you go from black, white, you just go to American, and Americans have money.
Except Ghana. Nobody in the airport has ever asked me for no money for nothing. I have only seen that in Ghana. Now let's talk about the fact that y'all welcomed us home and how this process looks to me. According to y'all, the ones of us that were stolen, so let's talk about the process of coming home. We got stolen from our mother, our birth mother and father. 20 years later, we're probably 26 years old now. Our mother finds us and she said, baby, y'all come home. I miss you. Come back home. Get out them streets where they don't love you at and come home. So we drive, take a taxi, however we get to our mother's address. We get there. But before she let us come to the door, she says, oh, welcome home. But before you come in, can you pay me $300 to enter the door? That's the visa to come home. So, okay, we happy to be home. So we paid $300 to our mother to step foot in her house because we're excited to be home to the motherland, okay? We get in there, and now it's dinner time. And she has plates on the table for the kids that grew up in the house, and she has a plate on the table for me and my sister who was stolen years ago. And she says, oh, my daughters, because you didn't grow up here, my children get to eat free that grew up here, but because you were stolen and you're just coming back, I have to charge you $20 for a plate. So me and my sister, we're so happy to be home. We're confused. We pay her $20 for a plate. Okay? That's the cocoon shit. That's y'all giving us different prices for shit. Okay? Now we're at our mother's house and we're enjoying being there. We see something's a little weird, but we enjoy being back home with our mother. We decide we want to stay. And she goes, oh, you want to stay a little longer? You're going to have to pay me $1,000 every year to stay here. That's the residency. Now we're paying her for residency, even though she invited us home after we were stolen from her.
Wow, that's powerful. The way that sister broke that down, that's real powerful. That's powerful. Wow. I never looked at it that way, but she has a point. She definitely has a point. I understand that governments want to make money and there's a price of entry to a certain degree. But if you're welcoming people back, like the minorities in Europe, the European whites, they didn't have to pay America to get to America. All right. We was already there, but they didn't have to pay to get inside America. They came with literally nothing. And America gave them land, gave Europeans land. So you would think that, Ghana officials would see this, government officials would see how, the Europeans worked with the Americans, and they would flip it like to do the same for us. Because they see the history, they should know, they're educated, they should know how that works. But it seems like Ghana has somewhat of a financial incentive. They really probably want to make money more so than actually welcome us back home. Which asks another question. Are foundational Black Americans welcome anywhere outside of America? And in some cases, are we even welcome in our own homeland?
Okay. Now we pay the residency. And then we decide, you know what, we want to get on the birth certificate. We kind of like it here. It's a little weird, but we comfortable enough to stay here. And she tells us, oh, in order for you to stay here, I have to put my name on your birth certificate. That's going to be $3,000, please. And then I will put your name on the birth certificate and you will become a family member. That's the citizenship. That's the citizenship. So how are we home if we got to pay y'all? Why aren't the visas free? If this is home, why don't you make this visa free for us? If this is home, why do we have to pay to be a resident? If this is home, why isn't our citizenship automatically given to us?
African Americans leaving Africa right now.
I just want to stop on that part. She's very right about that. I cannot disagree with anything she just said. All right. She makes a very positive point.
I think when people migrate to the continent or they leave abroad, as we're seeing in record numbers, more than ever before, I'm not sure if it's new or if social media is giving us these viewpoints, but You come to countries where you find the quality of life much better, but the cost of living a lot less than what you're used to, and you overextend. You purchase a house or you get an apartment in the most luxurious part of the country. You're dining out every day, multiple times a day. You've got a driver, you're doing all of these things. And while these things can still be relatively affordable, what I see for the most part is people just doing the most, like getting the most luxurious car, the most luxurious home, the most luxurious furnishings, and essentially they can't afford to not do the work that they were doing in the US to now sustain the life that they've created on the continent. And so, when I first arrived to the continent, I wouldn't say made those mistakes. I have lived, had money, lost money, had money, lost it. So I knew how to live pretty frugally. But I do recommend that when you do migrate, that you enjoy that experience for the short term. And that's like 30 days, celebrate yourself. Have fantastic dinners out, stay at a hotel, stay in a fabulous Airbnb. But if this is something that you want to do long term, you need to get yourself on a budget and be financially responsible.
100% true. 100% true. Now, I wouldn't say that. And she's talking about expat growing pains, basically. I know for, most guys, they're not trying to necessarily live in a lap of luxury. Most guys try to live modestly for the most part, especially overseas, because a lot of it, as long as you have a decent spot and a safe neighborhood, most guys not trying to, just, ball out overseas for the most part, at least from what I saw. But what could blow your budget is partying with vacationers. Like guys come in temporarily to live it up, spend a whole bunch of bread and go back home and make their bread. You definitely got to put yourself on a budget when you're overseas. All right.
So that you don't overextend yourself, so that you don't end up having to go back to a country that you so direly want to get out of.
Facts. I can't argue with her that. All facts. You definitely want to balance the budget. All right.
The thing that I didn't like is the immigration process. When I went to Tanzania, I already imprinted it in my brain that you're allowed to, from the research that I've done, that you're allowed to have 3 months there and then get extensions, which is a 30-day extension. It's supposed to be 2 30-day extensions for free. But once I got to the immigration, they had us wait there for 5 hours after telling us they could give us that time period, and we only got 2 weeks. After waiting 5 hours, we got a 2-week extension. So I had to maneuver myself from there, and it was just not pretty for me. I left the immigration office like literally in tears, because I was just like, it's just this, I pick up on vibrations and energy, and it's just like the immigration people just felt like they don't want me here. For whatever reason, whatever judgment they had of me, I don't think they want us as expats there. And that's just the honest truth, you guys. Like, they were laughing at me while I was crying. Like, it was just not funny. Maybe it was just the immigration officers that I dealt with, but it was just like, oh, okay, yeah. So that was like one of the first negative experiences for me there. But yeah, I thought I could, stay there a little bit longer just to feel it out. Now, let me tell you guys, I never, ever, ever had I had no expectations with coming to Africa. Like I told you guys, I had plans to move to Ghana. They changed their rules. I don't like how their president moves. So I decided to come over to go to Tanzania. The immigration, like to have to leave every 3 months. I know this before going to Tanzania because it's everywhere, it's listed everywhere. But what I didn't take into was the expense that it would be to travel from country to country. I thought maybe it would be a little bit cheaper, but clearly it wasn't. I just never fit in, and I've been me all my life. This is me, and I'm always changing and growing, but who I am at the core, I can't change. So if I can't vibe with the culture and I feel judged by the culture half the time, it's just not going to work long term for me. So this one.
What does she mean if she feels judged by the culture? I don't know what that means.
One of the bigger reasons why I left too. Most of the expats were couples or males. So
now she's about to go into the passport bros here in a second. She didn't mention the passport bros, but the guy she's talking about probably definitely a passport bro.
I met a guy, he was there from Europe. He had a business in Europe, but he lived in Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Come to find out, like, he was like bragging about how, he can get certain favors from a girl in the community for little to nothing. And I don't mean sexual favors, but he was just bragging. And that's what he kind of like hinted at, but I didn't want to assume. But, like, I think guys sometimes come to exploit. White and black guys come there to exploit.
No, that's not what happened. What happened was she was interested in a guy that was living over there, a Black American dude, another, one of us FBAs. He was living over there, living it up. And she saw that he had options. And she saw that she had less options. All right. And now she's going to flip it and say, well, he can get, these women. He can get so-called favors for these women. He's saying for little or nothing. I don't even think that conversation probably was had. It's more so the fact that she's upset that she has to actually compete. Everything flips around from America. In America, we got to court them. We got to chase them down. We got to do all this stuff, go through all these hoops. And now when she's in Africa, everything flips around because she doesn't want the local guys. All right. She wants the other Black American guy. And this has happened to me as well personally. Let me tell you, the most loneliest women, in these countries are going to be American women, whether it be Black or white, but basically definitely Black women. All right. And they're going to gravitate towards guys of their own. They're more comfortable. They're going to gravitate towards guys of their own culture that can kind of relate to them, speak their tongue. All right. Understand them and basically simp for them. All right. Chase them. They want the American rules even overseas, but the American rules do not apply. And she's basically upset and she's going to flip it. All right. And saying that, oh, he's exploiting the local girls because he doesn't have to pay, he doesn't take it to $300 dinners, and all this stuff. All right. So she's kind of going through it to a certain degree.
The community is, they know like they can get a lot for little to nothing, from whether it's company, sex, whatever, like they know this. So they go there to sometimes exploit. So being that I met some cool expats that were males too. That right there was like a big, I don't fit, but I want to connect with like-minded people, and I also want to connect with the African culture and the African people, but because there was that language barrier, I couldn't connect with any of the Tanzanian people, and I'm sure that stopped me from meeting a bunch of good people, but I couldn't connect. So this was like a thing for me that I was just like, dang, like it sucks. This is a bummer. It took a lot of effort coming to Africa, but I was just like, I just don't see myself happy here. I'm not happy. So I didn't know, like in my mind, I'm like, once I didn't feel welcome, I'm like, when can I escape? Because if you don't feel connected with the people, it's just like, what in the world am I doing here? Like, I vibe with a few Tanzanian people, the ones who spoke English, and I didn't vibe with any of the Diasporans, actually, not for long. So, that's just what it is.
So we are.
All right. So that's basically, their experiences in Africa. One's on West Africa and Ghana, and I think the last girl, she went from West Africa to East Africa. All right, and she didn't have the best experience. All right, so this is interesting. I can't say that men are having the exact same experience that the sisters are having overseas. I do know guys that love living in Africa, but I know some guys that have left Africa as well. All right, the big issue is, in my opinion, I do feel like Ghana almost kind of misled Black Americans to a certain degree that got excited about returning home, leaving America. They were seeing what all we was going through back in America. But it just seems like right now it's more of a financial incentive for them. It's not really, the same. We don't really get benefits from moving back to Africa. The intentions might have been honorable. They might have been good. But when you look behind, the dotted lines, you read between the dotted lines, it just seems like it's more of a financial incentive. All right. And that's what comes with being an American, unfortunately. All right. So, guys, let me know what you think. Where can foundational Black Americans truly call home? outside of America. Peace.